Peace, 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 family. How's everybody doing? I hope you all are having a wonderful day so far. Just wanted to come on here to talk about Mercury entering Pisces today until March 27th. Fairly short transit, not too long, nothing wild and crazy, but still, I think for the sake of 5D and moving into this 5D and understanding 5D a little bit better, it's worth having this conversation. I'm going to talk about it from the everyday general perspective as well and how this may be showing up, but I really did want to dig into the 5D manifestation energy too. So please like, share, subscribe, hit the notifications bell so that you are notified every time we go live. We appreciate you in advance. Yeah, so Pisces represents your imagination, other worlds, the fifth dimension, spirituality, anything that isn't material, because it's boundless. It literally rules the ocean and how vast it is, but there's no walls or, no boundaries, right? This also rules the supernatural, like ghosts and things of that nature, psychics, intuition, faith, following signs and symbols, premonitions, accessing the invisible, the sixth sense. When I was writing this down, it really reminded me, and I know I've spoken about this on here before. It reminds me of the poem. I probably should have went and researched it before I got in here, because I don't know verbatim, but there's like this poem about God being the footsteps, or knowing that I was the footsteps, that I've always been by your side type idea. So that there's this sense of muses, spiritual guides, divination here, being guided by the divine. So long as you see the messages, you recognize the symbols and signs and things of this nature. These are the people who might constantly see 111 or look at a license plate number and see a message, and that is your guides with you. I remember I went to go get a psychic reading a long time ago, and the woman said that to always look at license plates when you're driving, and that's how your grandfather is talking to you, to follow the messages, recognize the messages. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And so ever since then, I really started being mindful of those things. That's when I really started to get into angel numbers and numerology and all that other stuff there. And so people who might relate to that, you could be seeing these things a lot throughout this time. This is also like remote viewing. So somebody who, because Pisces rules travel, but it rules travel from mostly maritime, we're talking about here, by ocean, or the mind. Even without Mercury, Pisces is to travel through the mind, or like to go places mentally in your mind, to take you places. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of remote viewing. I strongly suggest you guys go look it up. It's a form of mind travel, really, at the very least, but they have like these people who can go places that they have a memory of in their mind to see things, to what's a good I'm trying to think of a really good movie that gave a good example of this. I know there is one. Yes, Doctor Strange. If anybody's seen Doctor Strange, there's a part in the movie where he goes into meditation to steal the books that he's studying of Caliglio. I think that's what it's called. I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, but he wanted to study books that were off limits until he reached a certain level of studying and his knowledge of self, basically. And he learned how to meditate to go and get the books so he could go in and out of a place without being seen to steal the books. And there's people who write about this, who speak about being able to do such things, to go to places mentally in your mind, to see things, to find things without actually having been in that particular place. So that's very interesting there. Magic. Okay, this is magic, mysticism, the ability to talk to animals, somebody who reads body language very well. I'd even say this would be like this would go good with some kind of secret agent energy, or people who like study body language or behaviors of criminals and things of that nature. And then we have Mercury. Now, from a Virgo perspective, Mercury is very logical, analytical, critical. You know, it's about making things better. You know, that's what the sixth house rules. The sixth house is about health, your daily routines, your environment, being service to others, and pets. Right? And so this is where I really get the idea of being able to talk to animals, like that guy who's really good at training animals, especially with Jupiter and Pisces. Now, you can have a lot of people who might actually feel that way, or have had a bunch of different experiences with animals, because Jupiter rules horses, actually. But, you know, in a nutshell, animals in general. Okay. So we could see this being somebody who writes the books to how, you know, when you first start a job, you have all those books that tell you how to set up your password and all those things there when it comes to your work, or how to set up your day, and, you know, things of that nature. Or this is somebody who specializes in feng shui, so they give tips and tricks on how to improve your environment by way of what to add, what's good things to have, how to position your bed, and how to position your office, even things to bring perhaps to make your everyday work life serene, peaceful, or to bring in more abundance, you know, things of that nature. Feng Shui is actually a really cool divination, not much spoken about, but this is also, let's see, this could be somebody who does like medicines, natural health, that makes natural health medicines, or just a cook, believe it or not, because Mercury rules the hands. This is somebody who's good with their hands. So if it's not gardening, planting, to make natural anything, or anything to do with the earth, or it could be a swimmer. It could be a gymnast. You know, anybody in those fields there, things of that nature. A ballerina even. Did I say swimmer? If I didn't, a swimmer, somebody who swims, who's a good swimmer. All of these kinds of fields here, these things can be seen through this placement perhaps. Or Mercury from the Gemini aspect rules real world things, gathers information, communication, again, writing, artists, dancers, your hands, any kind of skills like vocational skills here. This might be a mechanic. Somebody who's very intelligent, but their intelligence is more and spiritual, I think. I mean, obviously, it could be all those other things that I named as well, but like Reiki, you know, all the kind of spiritual fields here. Like, you know how they'll say, like, psychics usually need to touch something to pull energy from, you know, so somebody who's very, very, very intuitive and uses that as a skill. This is obviously the esoteric stuff, speaking in tongue, channeling, somebody who can do music but doesn't need to read it. I think Little Richard, they couldn't figure out like how he knew how to play music or make a song, but he didn't know how to write the music. You know, going back to that remote viewing, he could just have like one of those memories like an elephant who maybe he did that in a past life and he just is remembering it. You know, when they talk about Pisces energy a lot, this is somebody who's in between that state of being awoke and being asleep, you know, so there's very something transic that happens here. I use the example of my brother who he loved the Transformers. He used to watch them all the time. My brother still plays video games to this day. I don't care what anybody says. There's something transient. I hope I'm saying that right. About Pisces energy that can allow people to tap in if they know how, and it really allows you to get real creative, because they say that's when you're at your most creative, or even when you're young, you're in that mindset of where you are your most creative, most imaginative, and you really have the ability to do anything, which is why it's so important to like watch what your children watch and hear and see and all that stuff. And so there's something magical in that way, mystical, that happens here. So I'm pretty sure this is somebody who created all the Disney movies. You know, or Disney in general. They might have a really strong Mercury and Pisces person here. All right. I'm just looking at my list to see. Yes, people who can learn things hands-on. Again, somebody that you might not have to specifically tell how to do something more than once, or you can just show them once, and as long as they can do it hands-on repetitively, they can do it like as if they had been doing it for years. Ingenious, intelligent, you know, daydreaming here, visions here, people who have visions. So back to the psychics and stuff like that, or the deja vu, same thing. Speaking in tongue, channeling, yep, I seen that. Musicians with, yep. Okay. Or even people artists that might have that very same. When I was working in the prison system, I was working with somebody who could draw really good, but he only needed to see you once in order to draw you. And he'd remember, like, he was really good. I don't know what the heck I did with all my artwork. I probably threw it away from moving and stuff, but, and he was a Pisces, right? That was crazy. But this could also be very romantic. These are where you get your poets, of course, your love songwriters here. And again, somebody who's good at touching, so giving massages, or, you know, there's somebody who can't really keep their hands to themselves in that sense. Or they like holding hands, you know, touch is very important. They're pull your energy in, you know, you get drawn in by Pisces people sexually that way, or the experience feels very drawn in. You know, this is somebody who I feel like likes to be intertwined with another person, somebody who likes cuddling, or footsies because they rule Pisces rules the feet. Or this is somebody who will take you out to a restaurant and they always have to be touching you. Like, I remember I had a date with a Pisces and we went out to eat and he was like under the table touching my feet, still trying to have a conversation, acting like nothing was wrong. I was like, yeah, that's not gonna work. Or this is like somebody who will take you to a romantic theme, or get a romantic getaway that has themes, or restaurants with themes, things of that nature. It's very Piscean and Mercurial to me. Or like, it's very intense by way of like, it feels like you're high when you're having sex, or some kind of like euphoric experience under, maybe you feel like you're under the influence while having sex, whether you are under the influence or not. So this might be somebody, of course, who takes drugs or feels like they need drugs to have sex, or, you know, things of that nature. Or somebody who gets lost in the sauce, both figuratively and literally, like you just feel lost in the energy of Mercury and Pisces. I feel it's just very dreamy, you know, very, very dreamy. And so Mercury and Pisces, and it is also to consider to be in its fall, because Mercury is ruled by Virgo, right? And so from that aspect, it's in opposition, because Virgo is opposite Pisces. And so in that way, you can see people who have this also have some negative aspects, like literally feeling like you're losing your mind, because again, Pisces doesn't have any boundaries. It wants to be free and think free, and, you know, just like very imaginative again, and dreamy, and just travel and go places in the mind. But Mercury is way more analytical, logical. It wants to plan and look at the details, and Pisces is like, fuck all that shit. You know, or this is somebody who, like, when you have experiences where people have certain thoughts about you, and this is somebody who might say, I'm not responsible for the thoughts that you have of me, right? Or like somebody who's unable to read the signs, or there are things better left unsaid, like there's some kind of opposition between that thought process, right? Somebody who really has a hard time understanding the vastness of Pisces, or somebody who loses track of time, or, you know, when I was taking the notes down for this, I was thinking about, you know how like they have those meditations where they're so deep they say don't play this while driving? It's kind of like that. It'll keep you in this trance where you're like here, but you're not really here. You know, it's kind of like that feel. Or you know, somebody who might listen to that kind of music to help them sleep. or somebody who has a car accident, right? Because Mercury also rules transportation. This is somebody who falls asleep at the wheel, or is like in the mind control of Hollywood. Whereas you don't see that the movies are signs and symbols. They're reading between the lines. These are your decoders here. People who decode movies and tell you like the truth behind what it is, or the scientific facts of it, right? Because we're talking about the 5D, so this is definitely more esoteric here. But when I was thinking about this, I couldn't help but thinking, like, how sometimes you watch a movie and that shit seems like it could be so real. And it's like, well, they got to be getting those stories from somewhere, right? So some of them have to be based off of, again, some kind of memory that came from somewhere, that you seen from somewhere. And, they took it and built off of it and came up with a storyline and made it into a movie. And literally, that's all film is. If you go in to study it, you will learn more about that. And so, again, in some way, shape, or form, we're talking about telling a story of a memory of something that was real. And maybe some pieces throughout that and story are made up, but essentially it's coming from someplace. This is why they have, like, you'll hear some people say there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that has been done before, somewhere in a past life or history or something, right? And it's just like other people tapping into that specific wavelength to grab that information that's already there in the ethers and the energies. And you are just drawn to it, right? Maybe it's a part of your purpose, your mission, and you're meant to do something with it, whether that's film, telling a story, writing, or, whatever that is. But I think it's something that we as people get so caught up in, copying people and trying to be like somebody and all these things which aren't there. It's just not real. Like, first and foremost, even if you were to do something that somebody else did, you're not going to do it the way that one person did it, simply because it's you, it's your energy, it's your reflection of that energy, right? And nobody in this world, and we see this with birth charts, and I know that I've had this conversation on here as well before, every single person in this world has a birth chart that is nothing like anyone else's, right? And so you were meant to do that. Just because it's something that has already been done doesn't mean that you can't do it in your own way, right? So we really have to try to break free from that and move away from that, because I think it really hurts us as a community when we think of things like that from that perspective, like copying people. Because you have to remember, Mercury is the childhood energy. It is the energy of the child's imagination, right? And where do you think that child's imagination is coming from? The environment that around them, what they are observing. That is literally how children learn, right? And so essentially, when they grow up, whatever they're enacting or drawn to, and they're playing that imagination out throughout their childhood, they inevitably grow up to do that, to be that in some way, shape, or form as adults, right? And so, I can get deeper into that, but I digress. Another example of the Hollywood explanation is all the scary movies. I used this a few times. If you've ever gotten a reading from me, depending on what placements you have there, I really dig deep into the Pisces energy in this way, by trying to explain, in order to get through something or to get over something, you have to go through it. And Mercury is no different. In the sense, this is like, if you ever watch Freddy Krueger or all those horror movies or the ghost movies, it's always about somebody's telling somebody's story, you know, essentially. And this is an actual spiritual practice. They just turned all of those movies into scary movies because they wanted to scare us from, again, our knowledge and who we really are. They don't want us to know who we are. And so a lot of the times they will take our knowledge in these movies and mix them up in ways to make them seem unreal, but they are very, very real, by way of that spiritual practice being like somebody feeling attacked, or if there are things constantly coming up in your life and you're just like avoiding it and not really wanting to deal with it, but you have to go through it to get over it, right? Pisces and Mercury is kind of like that perspective. Mentally, this is why meditation is so real, and manifestation. These are all your divinations here that we're talking about to help you get through something. And so, in a sense, I think I use Freddy Krueger as my example because Pisces rules dreams. And so, you know, that whole movie was about dreaming and him killing them in their dreams. And if you remember, and go back to all of the stories in the beginning where they show how he got like that, what happened to him, he was tortured, right? And so to get them back, his soul came back as that, and as Freddy Krueger, to haunt them in their dreams for what they did to him, right? And so in order for them to get over what they did to him, they had to go through the dream. If you remember, they had to go through the dream and not fight the dream. Remember, they was trying to fight their sleep and keep everybody awake and all that other stuff. And then it got to the point where they got to that 5D, right? That place between sleep and being awake, right? And he still was able to get them there. And so, you know, in a sense, what they're talking about is 5D for one. And they're talking about your power of manifesting and how to get over something. You know, how to deal with things is to not run from it, but to go through it. So if Mercury in Pisces rules, if Mercury rules communication, and Pisces is this 5D energy, it's like speaking things into existence, or there's this kind of idea that you are creating a disturbance in the energy, right? Where you get your energy from it's kind of like if you throw a rock in a pond, right? And the pond creates the ripple. Those are you speaking things into the water. Because now that you have spoken, your vibration reflects out into the world, right? Or the energies or outside of you to create that in which you are speaking, right? And in that sense, it causes a ripple effect. And so when we're talking about creating our own reality, is when we're doing something that when we naturally follow our passion and what we love to do. And what takes place is a thought or an image, you know. So you're talking about the imagination here and what it is you want to create. But then you have to work towards that once you do it. You can't just speak things into existence and then it just magically happens. Although I think we can get there. I think we are there, but it's going to take some time to manifest that belief thought. So you have to do something to work towards it, because that's what God is. It's a force in motion. It's nothing but force and power. And when you speak, you as the God speak, you speak in force and in turn bring power to whatever it is you're speaking. But in order for thought to crystallize in motion, you have to work towards it by way of following your heart. And when you do this, you literally are manipulating energy, which in turn brings things to reality. And I know I'm getting real scientific here, but I promise you, if you do the research, you will begin to see how these things play out for you. Even just me, when I study astrology and I get on here and I do these videos, you won't believe how many times I would do something and then I could see it here manifest in my home, in my life. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. Especially if I get real intentional and I look at my chart and I start to see what's happening to me. Because a lot of times I'm scribing, right? I'm writing out my thoughts, what I'm reading. And then I speak them into existence, right? And if I look at my chart and do that in relation to my astrology, whoa. I can't even begin to tell you guys sometimes some of the things that happen here in my life. You probably think I'm even more crazier than you already do. But we are in the age of Aquarius, which is all about science and learning how science is related to the body, or spirituality even, or, you know, these higher divinations. So manifesting with your emotions is another way this is, because Neptune is ruled by Venus, and Neptune is the higher octave of Venus. And it's love. This is your heart. Outside of Leo, this is the strongest emotion to manifest from. Because it also allows you to be very compassionate for others when you're doing the work that you absolutely love, or when you follow your dreams, right? And so manifesting with your emotions, whatever it is, or however small it is, when you're doing it, because it's something you love to do. This is why they say time flies when you're having fun. When you follow your passion, your heart is creating a magnetic pull. Back to what I was talking about, right? That energetic intertwine, I think Pisces has. It's so amazing. That causes... that creates that throwing the rock into the water, the ripple effect, right? It also develops a large compassion for people, like I said. So naturally, when you follow your passion, the universe has to comply no matter how crazy it is. Remember, energy doesn't know any better from right from wrong. So it's going to create whatever you tell it to do. Just like I think I talked about this in another live, that Chinese dude or Asian dude or of Asian descent or Chinese descent, I'm sorry, I don't know what he was, had talked to the water. And he did 3 different ones, I think. He did one glass of water where he didn't talk to at all. He did another glass of water where he talked all negative. And then he did the other glass of water where he talked loving, beautiful words to all the time between those 3 waters. Now, the one he didn't do anything to, it just got really cloudy, or somewhat cloudy. The one that he spoke bad to, well, that one was just filthy. I mean, it was filthy inside that water. And then the one that he talked lovingly to crystallized, right? So it crystallized into matter, his words, right? And so your passion is your compass that allows your mind to take you wherever you want to go, which puts you on the path of forgiving, of giving love and service to people. It's like literally why I came up with the name, A Way of Life, in my business, and I've told that story before. You know, we are here to spiritualize matter, literally. So if you visualize something, you're supposed to process it. What are you going to get from it? this is what it does for me, which is acknowledging that it's something outside of you to be you. When you do this, your level of life and appreciation for life changes. We actually just did a live on Queen Dawn's channel. I think it's called Numerology, Astrology, Spirituality, and Vegan Cooking. And we was really talking about this, like how people talk to their food and and things of that nature. It was a really, really, really good show. If you want to go check it out, where I talk more things about speaking things into existence and manifesting. I know it's a hard concept for us from time to time, but you do have the power. In fact, you are the creator of your reality. The problem is why people don't tend to see it that way is because there's so many outside distractions that we're pulling from, as opposed to what we want to do. And so I really think the pandemic has changed that for people in more ways than one, and people have tapped into the value of what they want, especially after this Venus and Capricorn we had in 4 months, because Capricorn is all about mastering your self-worth and self-value and self-love and all those things there, not to mention Taurus in the North Node, which I'm going to talk about on the Virgo full moon. We have a grand Earth trine, so, family, believe it or don't believe it, whether you do, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So take advantage. I hope you found this information